Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 109 of the Co-op podcast. Whoa, made a little mistake there. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host Richard Bailey, editor in chief here at thecoalition.com, and I'm joined by two guests today. First and foremost, we have Mr. Jakejames Lugo. How's it going, Jake?
I'm doing good, Rich. How you been? You doing all right? You good?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. Getting ready for a very busy month of game releases.
Mm,
So that should be fun.
yeah.
And we are also joined by Mr. Austin Conway. How you doing, Austin?
Hello, hello. How are you guys?
Hey, doing pretty good. I have no complaints. So we just want to take the time very quickly to let everybody know who is listening to this. If you're wondering what's going on with Gary Swaby, for those of you who do not know, Gary had a sickle cell crisis a couple of weeks ago. He's actually still in the hospital. This is going to be like his third week being in the hospital. So definitely, wish him get well wishes. I did talk to him earlier today. He said he may be out this upcoming week. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll be sure to keep you guys up to date. Definitely keep him in your prayers and thoughts. I mean, he said he's doing better today. He doesn't have that much pain, but we just hope he is able to recover and come back. I know he had a lot that he wanted to say. I know Charles had something he wanted to say to him. Charles is not here either because he's at work, but stay tuned. He'll be back in no time. So we're going to start off today's show. We got a lot to go over because, we didn't get to record last week because I was a little under the weather as well. But start out today's show to ask, what have you guys been playing? If you want to go first, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a busy bug lately. I've actually been playing a lot of Scream Ride because I was actually doing a guide, as freelance for Scream Ride not too long ago. But besides that, I also jumped into Destiny. It's the first time I really got to sit down and actually play Destiny extensively on Xbox One. And I have some fun memories from that or not. But also I've been going back to other portable games here and there, on my off time when I just want to get away from the consoles and I have that moment to spare when I'm not doing stuff.
That's good. So what do you think of Destiny so far? Are you impressed with the game, or you think it's yeah? What are your thoughts on it?
Honest to God, if I have to say, one thing about Destiny, obviously, if you just took a screenshot of the game and put Halo on the top of it, nobody would be able to tell the difference because it is Bungie. It is what they do best. It's okay for what it is. I do get a little bit annoyed at that. Sometimes you hit that brick wall where you kind of have to grind it out a little bit and actually repeat some of the missions, like the strike missions and such, or the patrol missions, in order to level up when you're playing through the story. That to me, that kind of got me a little bit annoyed, especially when there's such a big level gap between me and the enemies in the story aspect of Destiny. I would have rather had it where it was just like one seamlessly thing through, where I could just play through the story and level up that way, and then kind of go to the strike missions or any of the DLC, and then have to grind to kind of really be up to level with those. I would have rather had it that way, but as a game, it's big. I still think, there's at points kind of like where it doesn't have a lot of content, where it's kind of empty and a little bit kind of like, lonely when you're not playing with other people on Xbox Live. But for the most part, decent game for Xbox One.
See, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I know we all have had a chance to play the game, and I agree with a lot of what you said about the game. Uh, Never said it was a horrible game. I mean, I know last year I said there was a couple of games that I thought were a bit overhyped, did not
Yeah,
quite live
I
up.
definitely will say one thing, sorry to interrupt, but I definitely say that Destiny was overhyped, big time. I,
Uh-oh,
I,
uh-oh.
I totally agree with you on that because so far I've played it now on Xbox One and PlayStation 3, and got at least a good enough extensive amount of time with the game, and it definitely wasn't like what they were touting it out to be.
Well, hey, I guess you got to have some type of expectations, but no doubt about it, if when they make another sequel, the sequel should be better because they have gotten enough feedback from people who didn't like certain stuff.
I
Um,
hope.
yeah, I mean it has to. I mean they can still make it better with whatever DLC they release, but I think no, I think the sequel will be a better improvement, no matter how good the DLC is. But that's just my opinion. I mean I don't still play it. Um, But
Yeah, there's a point where I know I'm going to stop playing that game. I know there's a lot of people out there that are really into it and like every single week doing the weekly strike missions
oh
and
yes,
such, or waiting for Zer to pop up. But I know for a fact very soon I'm going to stop playing that game.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out, so it's going to be harder to keep up with some of these games.
That
So
is true.
that's going to be one game that doesn't get played that much. But hey, it will. Maybe we'll see. Um, so how about you, Mr. Austin? What have you been playing?
My man Austin.
Uh-oh.
I think he might still be mute.
Well, actually, yeah, he got a little bit of an issue. Well,
Okay.
I'm gonna just say real fast what I've been playing.
Yeah.
I have been playing Screen Ride as well. I'm about near the end of my review, which will be on the site by the time this episode goes live. I would have to say this. You know, I do commend Microsoft for trying to, basically do some different games. Now, I already know
Yeah.
there are people that are going to say that this game obviously is not really considered an exclusive, although it's a console exclusive, but it is
It's a
also,
Microsoft exclusive, basically.
yeah. I mean, it's on PC, so those who want to play it on PC can.
And it's also on 360.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
It's on
absolutely.
Xbox One and 360 and PC.
So, I mean, the game itself is not. I don't think it's a particularly bad game. I think it's a pretty okay, I guess you could say, good type of game for right now. They do have some stuff in there that can keep people busy, but the thing about the game, and the main thing about the game, is that I can't necessarily say it's a game for everybody. It's not a game where I would tell somebody you need to buy an Xbox One for this game. No, I wouldn't.
Definitely not.
No, I would not say that. I will say it is a decent game. It'll keep your attention. But as I was saying before in the past, there are some games where you would say, okay, you may want to buy a console for this. I think Halo 5 is an example of that type of game. I would even say Forza Horizon 2. That is another game where I would say, yeah, you want to buy an Xbox One for this because it just is that type of game. This is a good game, but it may not appeal to everybody. So, but I give them a lot of credit for working on something different, and making the attempt to explore different IPs rather than just sticking to just letting third party stuff come out and not really investing in that. So they are getting better in those regards. They still got a ways to catch up, but so far so good. And aside from that, I've also been playing a little bit of NBA 2K15, still playing that. Um, that's pretty much it, though. I'm getting ready because I'm going to be very busy in the next couple of weeks. A lot of games coming out that I'm going to have to review for the site and stuff like that. So stay tuned for my thoughts on that stuff.
A lot of big games coming.
Oh, yes, a lot of stuff coming out March, April, yes, and so on and so forth. But, Austin, are you back?
I don't know if Austin's back yet. Still muted.
Well,
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, there he is.
there
There he is. Austin.
Yeah, so Austin, what have you been playing?
It's actually kind of been like a personal renaissance. 2014 was kind of a dead year for me, and I didn't end up picking up a lot. But recently, I made my way through. Oh wow! I picked up tons recently, and I just finished Metro Last Light. I finished Metro 2033. I'm about to start Last Light for the Metro Redux collection. I'm making my way through Tomb Raider. The Master Chief collection, which has finally been fixed, I'm enjoying. I really like it. Like it's my big one that I really was upset for not playing. I'd owned it for a while, but I just set on my dash was Valiant Hearts. Valiant Hearts was great. I love Valiant Hearts. It was one hell of a game.
Hey, I just want to say something real quick. I know that game is now on the PlayStation Plus. For those that have PlayStation Plus, it is free this month on PlayStation 4. I just downloaded that today, so I definitely am going to play it because everyone
Hell yeah.
need to play that game. So that's great to hear that you enjoyed it. So now I'm definitely am going to check it out as soon as I can. Um,
Oh, yeah, like I bought it when it came out. I just never played it, and I just came across it and I booted it up, and it was, man, I don't know. I don't feel bad admitting this. I got a little choked up at the end. I got a little teary-eyed. It was powerful. I think if you want to see games as art, I think Valiant Hearts is a great testament to that.
that's a good way to look at it. So
I definitely
yeah.
need to play that game. I hear so many good things about it.
Oh yeah, me too. Well, I mean, I just downloaded it prior to starting this show, so I definitely am going to jump into it after the show, um, to see what it's like. But that's awesome. That's a good recommendation.
Let me ask this, Rich, or James. You guys might be able to help. Personal question. I also recently picked up Majora's Mask.
Oh,
I picked it up. I even got the collector's edition with the Skull Kid.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I rushed out to pre-order that. I've been trying to find one of the Majora's Mask 3DS XL. Are they going to
You are
restock?
not gonna find it. I'm telling you right now, it is not happening. Because I tried, dude. I even went to the Nintendo World Store to go find one, and that wasn't happening.
I was put in a bind where I knew where one was and stayed over, and I learned that it was for I think it was Make-A-Wish Foundation. I was like, nope, that's more important. My collector's sensation can take backseat. Make-A-Wish obviously going to take precedence. I don't know. I've heard they're going to restock them. I know.
Let me put it this way: don't expect to find one anytime soon at all.
GameStop Italy,
Because, nope.
GameStop Italy, GameStop Australia, and I think 3 stores in the UK have got a release date for, I think, March 27th for a second release date. And like always, Nintendo of America just sucks at releasing stuff. So.
well, it is a possibility that maybe eventually it will get restocked. Definitely won't happen anytime soon, because. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on the demand and if Nintendo's going to continue to make more. Because I thought it was limited edition product.
Yeah, it's a limited edition version of that Nintendo new 3DS XL, and don't expect it to get reprinted anytime soon, if at all, because
I
it
think
went out like hotcakes.
I think the argument of limited edition only works when you release that competently. That was one of the worst.
And also release it right, because keep in mind, our version of that new Nintendo 3DS, we didn't even get the game pre-installed into it. Europe actually gets it with the game.
Kotaku did a great write-up. It was one of the most botched releases of any console.
Yeah.
And I think I think at that point when it's such a, excuse me, I apologize, but when it's such a shitty way to handle it, I think you owe it to the fans to release more, because
That's a good way to put it.
85% of those things are on eBay for scalpers anyway.
If not for a ridiculously amount more.
Oh yeah.
This is absolutely true. Well, we have to see about that. It's going to be interesting. I mean, even I was interested in getting that, but I knew it was going to be a long shot if I did not. Wasn't one of the people that pre-ordered it as soon as it got announced. But hey, we'll see.
I feel bad for all those other people that still want it, because Nintendo knows we would all buy this. We all would want it. So instead of giving us more, they just clearly just want that demand to skyrocket even more. So that way, whatever else they release that's Legend of Zelda themed, people are just going to flock to it and eat it up. I mean, they look at what happened with Club Nintendo with the bags, because that last assortment of rewards for Club Nintendo, because it's shutting down. I think it's next month, or like the month after. They had this Majora's Mask tote bag or messenger bag that you could get as one of the rewards there. And I was lucky enough to get one, but like the whole Club Nintendo website crashed just because people were trying to order those bags.
See, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, hey, I guess it is what it is. But we'll see what happens with that. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the topics. There's quite a bit that has gone down.
A lot to unpack.
Yes, there's a lot that has gone down. For those who don't know, GDC 2015 and PAX East were both in this week. So, we definitely have to address some stuff that went down. So I'm going to start with GDC. because that was earlier in the week. And let's talk about, Sony's Project Morpheus. They had a massive conference for this, basically over at GDC, in which they basically gave details about the main changes that they were making with. They had an initial prototype that they had before, but then they basically came out and they talked about all the changes they made to that prototype, different things that people can expect as far as the 120 frames per second, so on and so forth. And they also said that they're planning to launch this device in spring of 2016. So my question now to you guys is, now, do you believe that they will be able to launch this at a reasonable price point? Because that is one thing that I think a lot of people are going to question. How much does something like this cost? They didn't really go into any price details yet. So my thing is a two-part question. Do you think they'll be able to release at a reasonable price point, and do you think that this is something that everybody will jump on and be interested in trying out? Whichever one of you wants to go first.
Honestly, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be very cool. I'm really interested to see what they're going to do as far as this pricing is concerned, especially buying like such a peripheral, because keep in mind, you're going to have to use 2 move controllers to actually, use Project Morpheus, or use 1 move controller, something like that. Because I know I've seen pictures of people using 2, and I've seen people using it with 1 controller. So I'm saying, personally, probably around $199, if not more. That's what I'm guessing, for this thing. Because I look at it the same way as like an extra Connect, like a Connect separate attachment, like that. But it's anybody's ball game now. For all we know, there could be more.
This is true. It definitely is. Well, there is more to this that they have to describe. I have to believe that they will be talking about this in more detail at E3 as well. But what do you think, Austin, of this particular device, and is this something that you will pick up when it comes out next year?
Well, Sony's got they don't have the greatest track record when it comes to accessories for their consoles. The Move. I even had one of those Sony 3D monitors that didn't take off. My poor Vita. VR is hot right now, but it's hot in theory. We've yet to have a VR game that is a huge showcase for the platform.
Yes.
I do think it's gonna I think it's gonna be kind of a niche or niche product with a market in a specific audience. I don't think it's gonna change everything. I think you will have your dedicated fan base. I think the company that brings it to market first will probably have the strongest foothold. So if Sony could beat out Oculus, I think that would be saying something. Price-wise, I see it going for maybe $299. I don't think it will be more than the cost of the system, but I do think it will be pricey. Especially, it's supposed to be an OLED screen on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll probably be a pretty penny.
Pricey tech.
Yep, 120 hertz refresh rate. I don't know. I think I'm not particularly drawn to it. I've used it twice at last year's E3 and then also at PSX. It absolutely, no one will ever be able to sell me on third-person camera perspective for VR because it does not work. I've tried it both on Oculus and I've tried it on they had a third-person PSX demo that was kind of like Star Fox, but in space. It just didn't work. You've got to be in that first-person perspective in order to really sell the benefits of VR. If they can make a game for it from the ground up, great for them. It's probably what Sony London's working on. Hell, the Getaway 3 would be pretty cool maybe from a first-person perspective. But I just don't think it's going to be as big as some people are expecting it to be. I don't think anybody wants that on their head for 8-9 hours at a time.
I will tell you one thing, though. Funny story coming out of PAX, or I believe it was PAX. I'm not sure if it was PAX or GDC. A guy that's a big freelance writer in games industry, Nathan Meunier, actually got a chance to try. I don't remember. I think it was Oculus, where he actually got into first-person porn, and it was the most weirdest experience he said that he's had. And he's writing an article basically testament that VR is like actually like a really legit like crazy thing that you could do, because at least in his experience like that, nothing really happened, but like the experience of like interacting with another character or a virtual person like that, and like the emotions he got from the other person that he was seeing in the actual headset was absolutely nuts. So it shows the potential of like what type of like stuff games can do as far as like storytelling, as far as character interaction from a first person perspective, that could reach an incredible amount of like crazy heights. But it just happens to have its kind of grounding in porn apparently.
Wow.
Porn, and I always thought VR would be great, like as a museum piece. You just go to like an exhibit, World War One, and you get like a 360-degree panoramic of the battlefields. I don't know, like I've never been sold on the tech. I think it'll have its uses, but I think it will also have its limitations, and I think more will be greater than the other. Sony wants to release it first in 2016. Power to them if they can support it. But given how they supported the Vita, I'm very cautious, very curious. Or 3D, or Move, or really any other peripheral they have, quote, supported up to this point. We'll see.
Well,
they supported Vita. There's games for Vita and such like that.
uh-oh.
I'm not even going to get into that.
Vita, but not from first party support.
Wait, I couldn't hear you. What happened?
So there are Vita games, but not from first party.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of first-party games on Vita. That's true.
Neil Druckmann said at PSX, he said, well, Scott Rhodey gave him a third team. They'd love to work on PlayStation Vita games. And I just think I think Tearaway was the last big first party.
Like big, I wouldn't consider Tearaway like super huge though. Like to me, the last big first party obviously was Uncharted Golden Abyss, and that was like one of the first.
Well, no, I mean you're forgetting about Killzone Mercenaries.
Oh, Killzone Mercenary. I'm sorry. Yeah, Killzone Mercenary. You're right.
I'd say Tearaway because it was from like a big first-party studio like Media Molecule.
Yeah, true.
Vita's got a great, consistent Japanese industry support. Really,
JRPGs. Yep.
It's the Japanese mobile games that they've turned into Vita games that have kind of kept it afloat, and it does well. It's just you look at what 3DS does with its library, and then you look at the Vita, and I'm just a little disappointed. I love my Vita. I got it day one, but. Yeah. That said,
Same.
It's a matter of if Sony's going to support it. We'll see.
Well, we are going to move on to the next topic, but I have to ask you a question since you brought that question up. So here's my question to you. You both can answer this now. Would you rather Sony focus on PlayStation 4 games or Vita games? If it came down to time and money, would you rather them actually putting a lot of resources into the Vita games or all their resources into the console games?
If I had a choice, I would rather them drop Project Morpheus right now and just focus on Vita. Honestly, I know that's naive and selfish to think that, but I mean, PlayStation 4, they're clearly supporting PlayStation 4 as it is, and they're bringing games to it, good games, here and there. And they do have support for PlayStation Vita. I'll bet they're getting a lot of indie support for the system, as well as also PlayStation 4 as well. But a lot of also, keep in mind, their time and effort is also going into Project Morpheus, which is what they've been showcasing at GDC and such another events. And I'm pretty sure we'll see more of it at this year's E3. So if I really had a choice, I would rather them just drop Project Morpheus and then focus on Vita and PS4.
How about you, Austin?
I mean, I like my Vita, but I mean, if you're gonna make me choose between the two, I'm really not the. It kind of gets into the question of the philosophy of things. I think Sony was always different with their handhelds than Nintendo. Nintendo picked up this mentality of the pick up and play approach to the way their handheld games were created. That really changed with the 3DS. Because the 3DS provides Nintendo console experiences. You don't really have that with the DS. It was kind of a more episodic experience. Sony has always been about putting console games on mobile platforms. That's all the way back to Crisis Core, and that is Golden Abyss, and that is, arguably the most successful PlayStation uh, handheld games or PSP, PS Vita games were always really kind of console experiences. I do think Vita's kind of ship has mostly sailed. I don't think we'll ever see a third handheld from Sony, unfortunately. I mean, between the two, I don't know. You got one that has been on the market for 3 years. You've got one that's been on for a year and a half. I'd really love to see what the PS4's got to do. I'm in that position in my life where I don't do the handheld as much as I used to. I'm about sitting in front of the TV and booting up the PS4 and kind of getting that more, it sounds corny, but more of that kind of like event-like experience. I think console games still provide. So I just don't think there's anything the Vita can. I don't think anything can be done at this point.
Well, hey, I had said before that I do think that the Vita is, the Vita is in trouble.
And I was wrong. The last Sony first-party game released by Sony Japan was Freedom Wars. So that is.
Yeah, that
by Sony Studio Japan. You're right.
Well,
yeah, but I don't see that as like a major big release though.
Well,
compared to like Killzone Mercenary.
No, I mean, like, it probably didn't cost as much. It's still first party though. It's Sony showing that they've got their own guys on the job.
I think you can say Killzone Mercenary. Yeah, that, like you said, that's probably as high as it has gotten. But
no, the highest would be Uncharted Golden Abyss. That was the highest.
But that wasn't made by Naughty Dog though.
That was done by Sony Benz, yeah.
Yes.
Who are now working on a PS4 game. I don't think anybody's left working on Vita games.
I think all the studios that we don't know, like what games that they like announced or anything like that have been quiet, they're all working on PS4 games according to like Shuhei Yoshida and like a few other people. Like that, those are all at E3. You're going to see a big blowout for a lot of studios that have been quiet for a long time, all with their PS4 games. Like tons of people. I mean that we haven't. Off the top of my head.
Well, I think that will be very telling when we do see what is announced. What exactly it is, if it's all PlayStation 4 or Vita. I mean, we're gonna find out soon because it's only a couple months away now. So we'll know.
We're going to be there, so we'll find out firsthand.
Yes, you will know, and you will also hear, if it is not a lot of Vita stuff, you will hear a lot of disappointments in the audience. But we'll see about that. But yeah, that pretty much is the main gist of what Sony talked about at GDC. Now, Microsoft talked about a lot of stuff, and quite frankly, there was some stuff they didn't talk about, but let's talk about what they did talk about first. Phil Spencer, I did get a chance to see his conference that he had, in which he made a lot of very, very big statements. They basically said that they were going to support more indies. They announced that Elite Dangerous is going to be, the first console exclusive on Xbox One of that game. It's on PC right now. They also announced that Gigantic, which is a game that Charles Singletary played, or he got a chance to see at PAX South earlier this year, is going to also be cross-play compatible on Xbox One and Windows 10. I thought that was a big deal because that was a game that Charles talked highly about. A lot of people talked highly about that game. That was actually one of the biggest games at PAX South. So it was interesting to hear that announcement. But basically, the gist of what all was announced is that they emphasized that they emphasized that Windows 10, they were going to be having a lot of games that are going to be cross-compatible. Now, some information that came out that was very interesting, though, in which a lot of people possibly missed, is they said that basically this is a statement that happened. A fan questioned Major Nelson on Twitter and asked them about, so what is the price going to be for Xbox Live Gold for those that have a Windows 10, a PC, and they want to play an Xbox One game or a game that is compatible on both? He told them that it's not going to be any price whatsoever for Gold. Now, this is considered a big issue because anyone who has an Xbox One, they still have to pay for Xbox Live Gold. So my question to you guys is going to be, now, do you think this is going to be something that is going to basically, anger and upset those that are right now paying a subscription for the service, or what do you think the fallout will be from this in general? Because I do believe that there will be some type of fallout. I don't know if it's going to be that big of a fallout, but yes, there's going to be some type of fallout.
Let me ask you this then: like, do PC players right now that play on games for Windows Live, do they have to pay for Xbox Live?
That's a very good question.
My understanding, they don't. Am I correct? Am I correct? Because I want to know, because I don't play on PC like that.
I personally didn't think that they are paying anything now, but I'm not 100% certain about that.
Because if it's the case that they aren't paying for Xbox Live Gold when they're playing on PC for games for Windows Live, then that's pretty much almost kind of like the same thing. But at the point now that you're getting the Xbox One involved and that you're able to run this, Windows 10 on the actual console, and that kind of bypasses being able to pay for gold like that. I feel like Microsoft is smart enough to come up with some sort of solution to get around that, to kind of like, nip that in the bud early before people start getting kind of like slick and actually trying to work around paying for Xbox Live.
Yeah, I would think so too. I would think they would have to. Maybe that was a statement that was said at the moment, but of course we already know that Microsoft can very easily change it up because they have done it so well in the past. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, it's I mean, I got a disclaimer. I own both home consoles. I'm a huge Xbox fan. In its own right, I never want to appear like I'm one-sided or the other. I have a preference. I'll keep that to myself. But no, I mean, I think it is important to bring this Xbox ecosystem together, and people are playing Xbox games, even on their PC. Fable, like, I consider to be an Xbox game.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're just widening that Xbox fan base with a different platform. That said, when you do for some and not for others, you're always going to have people pissed off. I don't blame them for being pissed off, but at the same time, I'm satisfied with Xbox Live service on my Xbox One. If the price drop is permanent, all the better. I think you look at what Sony did last generation by having free service before PlayStation Plus, and if it's part of Microsoft's master plan to undermine their success with cheaper service on the consoles, and you said it was free service on the PC?
Yeah, well, that's what Major Nelson announced over Twitter.
I mean, yeah, if that's the case, they've got to look out for their brand, and if them establishing kind of a way to get more people to play Xbox games, which in turn gets me more Xbox games, depending on the success of them, I'm not going to complain, especially with the price of Xbox Live going down. I still use console. I don't play on PC, but the PC market is so competitive that I do not blame them for trying to find the best incentives for potential users. In this scenario, obviously, it's going to work out for, I think, people who want to play games on Windows 10, Xbox games on Windows 10.
Can't complain about Xbox Live's price going down, though. That's a cool thing.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
You can't. The $40 is a big difference from $60.
Definitely. I mean, hey, I have to re-up my gold soon, so.
Well, but again, though, I think it's I haven't even though that 40 price now, again, I have to emphasize, I saw that price at the Microsoft store. Now, Best Buy, I still see 60. I'm not 100% certain.
As long as it changes at GameStop, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, the price has already changed some places. I'm not sure if it changed everywhere because I still see different prices, but still, the $40. And if I was Microsoft, I would definitely make that universal across every store if it isn't already, and I would definitely try and keep that console at 350
This
because
is why you don't buy game stuff at Best Buy, Target, etc. Because you always end up paying more, even on games that are like less than $20 in like GameStop. You never buy at like places like Best Buy, GameStop.
well, no, that depends. That depends.
Amazon, bro. Amazon's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, Amazon's king. Forget it. Amazon is king in all of this. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes to like actual, like, general stores and stuff like that, like Best Buy, Target, Walmart, etc. Never go to any one of those places. They're just way too overpriced.
I'll say this. I don't want to make a plug for a mega corporation, but Best Buy's Gamer Club.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's been pretty beneficial.
That is very beneficial because you're not paying full price for a game anymore if you use that. That is the saving grace right there for those that but they got to do their research to find out whether or not that's right for them. But yes, that is a saving grace. So one other thing I did want to mention. This is a bit of sad news, however, but it did happen during GDC. It was mentioned on a couple of websites. It was mentioned on our website, but actually, for those that are unaware, something that did happen pertaining to I guess you can call it the HoloLens project. Well, one of the guys responsible for making it was killed in a horrible hit and run accident. So, considering that this is about to come out, well, this is something that Microsoft has been actively investing their time, energy, and effort into. It's just very unfortunate that something like this would happen. The way it happened, because it sounded horrible how all the events of what happened sounded terrible. So I did want to say that, we do give our condolences to the families involved in this, because it definitely is not good to hear these types of things. I did see a little bit of information on what they're working on with this, so I have some hopes for it. I'm not really sure of what all this device will be capable of, but hopefully it still is successful. Microsoft did have some success with some of their products, but again, just like you mentioned earlier, Austin, with the Vita, Microsoft has not really done a lot with the Kinect in relating to the games they're actually releasing. Maybe that will change. I'm not 100% sure, but hey, hopefully something does come of, the HoloLens. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But one thing I did want to say, because I mentioned earlier that there was some stuff that they did talk about and didn't talk about. Well, something that Microsoft refused to talk about was there was news that leaked out that said that Phil Harrison is actually leaving Microsoft. But the thing about it is that Microsoft refused to talk about it at all. When they asked Phil Spencer what he had to say about it, he said, well, he couldn't comment on the matter. And then that really interested me that they refused to comment on it, because before, when they have had people leaving, they were pretty open and honest about it. So here's my question for you guys. You probably already know where I'm going with this question. Now, since Microsoft didn't comment on it, is there a possibility that Phil Harrison may be going to, say, going back to PlayStation, Sony? Or, is this just something to blow over and it's not a big deal? But I somehow think it is a big deal. I don't think this guy is leaving the industry, but what do you guys think?
I don't know. It could be anything at this point. I mean, we won't know until they finally come out and say something, or until maybe Phil himself says something.
Well, I mean, I guess for the sake of speculating, what I've come to realize in regards to, I've seen reports that Harrison was upset with the way things were being run. He felt like he was largely ignored when it comes to Microsoft's European base. I think, though, I'm 90% sure Harrison was brought in under the Don Matrick regime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Matrick Harrison is a businessman. He was a businessman at Sony. He was a businessman at Microsoft, and I think the right people. I do not think ever since, maybe for the exception of Peter Moore back in the mid 2000s, I do not think anybody has led the Xbox brand as good as Phil Spencer has up to this point. I think Spencer has done a great job because he knows the games, he knows the industry. He's a businessman second, and I think a game kind of fan first. And having him get involved and obviously restructure things and change things up would obviously it'd probably ruffle some feathers. So, given Harrison's more kind of like business background and business approach, I could easily see Harrison bringing ideas to the table that would have worked under the Matrick regime, but not now. So, that's my opinion. That's my speculation.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Well, obviously, I agree with pretty much everything you said. Obviously, it probably may be more on this. Probably still a developing story, but we'll see if it is more to it eventually. Because as I said, if he was to go to Sony or Nintendo or whatever, you probably would hear about this. You're gonna hear about it at some point. But we'll see what happens. To be determined, I guess. One other real quick thing. I know that this is something that Jake brought up. I did see this. I know when Sony was, as I mentioned earlier, they showed a lot of games, indies that they're working with. One game that is coming to Xbox One is Shovel Knight. We already know it's coming.
Oh, yeah.
We already know it's also coming to PlayStation 4 because I also saw today on the PlayStation Store it's coming out in April. You can, pre-order.
And they're getting exclusive content for each one, which is cool.
Yes, but the main content that was seen in this one was Battletoads DLC.
Which opens up a whole slew of questions and things that pretty much we all know is coming now.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask you now. So we do know that we have a general idea that there is a possibility that Microsoft is working on another Battletoads game. They want to bring it to the Xbox One. But here's my question for you guys. So we have an idea because it's been teased over and over again. What other classic games do you want to see end up on the Xbox One that, were pretty good franchises back in the day?
Anything from Rare right now about this point. Anything good from Rare. I mean, seriously, honest to God, like besides Battletoads is cool and everything, boy, they have Rare there as a developer. I mean, they got Banjo-Kazooie, they got Conquer, they got Jeff Wish Gemini in their arsenal, they got Perfect Dark in their arsenal. They could go back to and reboot that franchise again. There's a lot they could do, but I don't know what's going on over there at Microsoft Studios.
Well, again, we'll know about this soon, but what do you think, Austin? You agree?
I like Kratos. Kratos is good, people. That said, Battletoads was the first game I ever played.
Oh.
I had memory of playing. That was my first. So I mean, I might just have to pick up Shovel Knight for the Xbox One. I love Battletoads. I've got a very fond place. You never forget your first. Battletoads was mine. I got a really fond place in my heart for it. There's excessive teasing left and right.
Yeah, with the T-shirts as well.
I think the Kinect game had like a Battletoads feature. I'd love to see another Battletoads. I'd love to see another Conquer. I would love to see another Banjo, even though I'm not, I don't really have a background with Banjo. That's a game I never unfortunately got the chance to play the 2 previous entries. Perfect Dark, I know, like Kinlaw was talking about, I think, bringing out the characters of Perfect Dark, maybe as opposed to maybe more than the genre itself. I think Perfect Dark could be rebooted perfectly well as a third-person action adventure without going FPS. I don't really see Microsoft dual wielding FPS franchises anytime soon. But I could see, Perfect Dark being a little bit more Uncharted than Gears. Um, no, I mean, like, are we talking Rare franchises in particular or older Xbox franchises?
Just I guess pretty much it
Could
doesn't
be
really
anything
matter
at this
if
point.
Rare or yeah, anything that you think is, Phantom Dust is a game that, of course, as we discussed on the last episode, that the game is still in development, but that's another game. I mean, I haven't played the game, but was interested in seeing it, but I was very concerned when I saw that they said the studio was working on it is no longer working on it. So, but yeah, it really doesn't matter. Any game you think that would be great for them to bring back. So I know Rare is obviously working on something now that they don't have to worry about making Connect games. So we are going to more than likely see something at E3. I mean, we would have to see something at E3. There's really no other option.
That Conquer Project Spark was the biggest slap in the face moment I think.
That was a troll. That was a troll right next to Kojima's troll. I mean, seriously,
I
come
was
on.
there.
Man.
I was sitting in the top row.
I was there. We were all there, I think.
Yeah,
we were all mad.
all there.
We were all mad after that.
We were all had our breaths held in anticipation and things.
I'll tell you one thing right now. Had it actually been a Conquer game and that would have been the reveal right there, that would have been the best reveal at E3. I'm telling you right now. That would have been
10 years without a new game. Looks like we'll have to make our own. Screw you, Conquer. That's how it's going to be, man. That's not cool.
Yeah, that wasn't. They got people with that one. I know people was rather upset.
But no, I would love for new Conquer. Jet Force Gemini I got no connection with. Actually, you know what my number one is? Every person who's an Xbox fan. And you know what? I'm sorry, Rich, but I'm going to call out a specific commentator. Others think. Big Xbox fan.
Uh-oh.
At least you appear to be. Listen, if you really care about that Xbox brand, then you should help support the return of one of its greatest franchises. Everybody who loves Xbox needs to tweet Phil Spencer and tweet him requesting for another Crimson Skies.
Oh, you know what? I agree with that. I do agree with that. I mean, I would have thought it would have been a logical decision for them to bring that back, but they have not done it yet. So, hey, maybe it's in the cards. I will say this. I'll be very interested to know how the landscape would be if Phil Spencer was already in control of this whole thing when they first revealed this system. But this guy knows what people like. He's a gamer as well, so he has a good idea of what needs to be out there, and he's starting to make moves. But he's coming up on his 1-year anniversary, but he hasn't really had this role that long. But yet he's still working hard to put some stuff in place. So I just wish it would have been different if they had him in the beginning of this process. To see what would have been some of the titles we would have saw that were in development and coming out. That would have been interesting to see. But nonetheless, we'll see what he got. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have some stuff at E3 that's gonna be pretty awesome. We have to wait and see though to what it is. Hopefully, no more trolls though, because we don't need to be trolled no more.
Seriously, don't play with my emotions like that. Seriously, it's bad for my health.
This is true. Okay, well, one of the last things I'm going to talk about with GDC, and this is going to be a very brief topic. Now, I know that Valve was there, and once again, you want to talk about people who troll. They trolled a lot of people because they said they were going to have a press conference 3 o'clock, I believe it was 3 o'clock, p.m. on March 3rd. So you would think, okay, so maybe this is...
That's just cruel.
Maybe you would think, oh, so maybe, are we going to get some news about Half-Life? But no news about Half-Life. They talked, of course, about Steam machines, a couple of prices, and then they introduced Valve's Source 2 engine. Now, what people may not know is that They are of course working with VR, and they did openly state that they are working on VR, and they're trying to find ways to use it within what they're some stuff they're working on. So now let me ask you guys now, are we ever going to get a Half-Life 3? Do you even care about Half-Life 3 at this point? And if we do get it, do you think that this VR is going to be something that they use to get interest back into the series? Because I don't know
I don't
which
know.
way they can go with it now.
Honestly, I don't know if VR is going to be the thing that really comes in the conversation with Half-Life 3. I think that Half-Life 3 when it comes, I remember reading someplace, one of the guys talking about it or at least discussing the idea is that when the technology, starts to boost up a little bit more, we get a little bit better technology at some point or better engines or something like that, then we'll be able to kind of, maybe see something from Valve at Half-Life 3 because I honestly think that's what they're probably waiting on. It's probably waiting for something to really distinguish Half-Life 3, out or from the entire industry. Outside of it being like a game that everybody's dying to play, there's probably be something else, something much more with the physics or the character models or the environment or something that'll really kind of like get everybody's attention.
Yeah, I can see that. How about you, Austin? Do you care about Half-Life 3? Are you one of the people that care, or are you like,
I mean,
nah?
I love Half-Life 2, and I loved episode 1 and 2. It's the question of will it come. It's not a question. It's never been a question of will. It's a question of when. I fully believe. Yeah, we're gonna get the Last Guardian one day. We're gonna get Half-Life 3 or Episode 3 or whatever the installment is going to be dubbed. I think we're gonna get a Shenmue 3. I even think, as much as I have been upset by the series as of late, the series that I loved, and I'm talking about Star Wars overall, and
Yeah,
that whole Disney kerfuffle, or whatever the word might be, I still think one day we'll get a KOTOR 3. We live in an age where, things end, but they return, even more so. And the fact that, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, the fact that we would ever get a Wasteland 2 blew their mind. Um,
Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them throwing Kickstarter up, on the table. I don't see that option on the table, but we got a new Syndicate by EA, and that'd have been a while. Granted, it wasn't what fans wanted, but I think there's a lot of potential in these older franchises, and Half-Life 3. You know what? Here's the thing, and if you really want your Half-Life, if people really want their Half-Life 3, you need to look at Valve. Valve makes its money. It lives and dies off Steam. So, people, if you want Valve to release Half-Life 3, put them in a position where they need to release Half-Life 3. Everybody, just boycott Steam for a year. No, not even that. Boycott Steam for a month. And let's see how much money they can lose. Because if you want your Half-Life 3, if you really do, the same thing with gasoline companies. If you really want it, then show them how serious you are about the situation. People love Steam. Like Valve has created a service that is largely addicting in its own right. Hell, I bet most of the people who use Steam buy games they never end up playing. It's just the illusion of a great deal. But no, I mean Valve was a game company. They are now a service provider. And if you want Half-Life, turn them back into a game company by rendering their service not as effective. I mean that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's the way to do it.
Well, hey, hey, I'm not gonna say it's never say never, but I definitely have to be convinced because I know Valve like to troll people. I thought we was going to get a Left 4 Dead 3. We didn't get that. We ended up getting Evolved by Turtle Rock Studios, which is a game that I must say, it's a fun game, but the lack of content in that game, there's no way you can play that game and not feel like you're being ripped off one way or another. Unless, of course, you like to spend that kind of money and then you know what you're getting. But, man, I was disappointed with the lack of content. Again, though, we'll see what happens with Valve. And whether or not they decide to do, they really don't have to make a Half-Life 3 at this point because, like you said, they're making money off of Steam. They don't have to go down that path, but I know fans, they want to see it eventually, so maybe eventually they'll consider it.
Well, I mean, you hear about the way Valve works, and apparently it's this great, utopian microcosm of, oh, we work on what we feel like working on, and that approach doesn't get anything done.
This is true. This is true.
My big takeaway from the way Valve is run now is there are no leaders to lead, and there's a huge snack room. And those are my two big takeaways. I know those things exist and are going on behind those doors. But, I just think people must be taking, like, lunch breaks for, weeks at a time. I'm just going to chill out today. Just going to hang out in the party room. It's just disappointing. Valve needs a leader. I think Gabe Newell is a genius, but I do not know if he is a leader when it comes to game development anymore.
Uh-oh. Whoa. Well, hey.
I mean, with all due respect, if you do not keep up with it, you lose it. I loved Charles Barkley back in the 90s, but I still don't think he could, rush up and down the court anymore. I just don't.
No. Charles Barkley will stick to talking trash about what is going on with the NBA today, though. But he ain't gonna be out there.
Gabe Newell does the same. Didn't Gabe Newell make a really offensive comment maybe a year and a half ago, where he said like single player or story and hold on, I don't want
everything to the internet is an offensive comment at some point or another. I mean, in actuality.
This one was particularly bad.
I don't know. It's just, the internet's a funny, weird place, man.
Yes, it is. Well, we'll see.
Okay, here it is. Here's the quote. I'm sorry. I need to highlight this. This should show you what Gabe Newell's doing with his time. I don't want to, I'm 90% sure this is, like Polygon reported, I think, it was back in 2013. He made the comment, single-player games are like a feature film where your lead actor is retarded and autistic.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
And I remember that making the rounds a while ago. That should show you.
Whoa, you can't say that. He can't say that. What's wrong with this guy? What is he talking about?
I know. I mean, that should show you. I mean, first off, that automatically makes me think about Gordon Freeman. That man didn't talk at all. So it just, I don't know, it's disappointing. I don't think Valve wants to make games anymore.
Well, we'll see. Maybe if somebody gives them an offer they can't refuse, but I heavily doubt that because, again, Steam is making money, so we'll see what happens. The Source engine is interesting. That opens up a possibility. We'll just have to see where it goes. So, yeah, that covers most of the GDC stuff. There was something about Unreal Engine 4 being free for all. Not really sure if you guys had any comments on that and whether or not.
Wasn't also Source 2 also supposedly free for everybody? What is it?
You're talking about the Valve software?
Yeah, the Valve software. Yeah, for Source 2 engine. Wasn't it also free for everybody?
No, I'm not 100% sure. I believe it is, but I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I know that the Unreal Engine 4 is because they had their little video demo to show you some of the stuff that can be done with the software. I'm not really sure what exactly will be done with that software. Obviously, it's good for those that create games because they have more tools at their disposal now that they can actually use. I know for a fact Maya is a software that's used in a lot of the production processes.
I've used Maya before.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I have. For college, I had to use Maya.
I didn't know this. Oh, yeah, I did not know.
Autodesk Maya.
Maya is best with building 3D models, correct?
That's correct.
Pretty much, but you could also take those 3D models and import them into a game engine and actually use them and see how they run in the game engine, depending on how well you build it. One thing I do remember distinctly from using Maya was that you had to have a lower polygon count. Like you could build a complex model in Maya, but then there was something that you needed to do in order to lower the polygon count so you could import it into the game engine.
I mean, I think every time I remember there was a blub about people expecting character models to have 1,000,000 polygons in Naughty Dog games, maybe a year. People were talking about next-gen capabilities, but yeah, when you deal with programs like Maya, the polygon count is always going to be significantly higher outside of engine. But it's good they're working it in. Rich, man, you forgot a huge piece of news.
What's this?
Where's this acknowledgement of Rock Band 4?
Well, actually, here's the thing.
Yeah.
You are correct. Now, we did talk about this on the last show, but I'm going to let you guys tell me what are your thoughts on it. Now, just for me to clarify, glad that you brought it up. See, this is why, you guys catch something I may miss, and everyone will definitely appreciate you bringing this up. But we did talk about the fact that there was a rumor at that point, because the last time we did a show, there was a rumor that said it could be in development. They also said Guitar Hero could be in development. Now it is official that Rock Band 4 has been announced. So yeah, since you brought this up, tell us what are your thoughts on Rock Band? Are you looking forward to the game, and what do you think they're going to do to try and make the experience even better this time around? I know they already said that you'll be able to import a lot of your old music to the updated version. I'm assuming that you'll also be able to use some of the same instruments, but beyond that, there is no other details that I know yet. But what do you guys think about Rock Band 4? Are you guys looking forward to it?
Well, honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to buy another whole set of instruments. I'm like pretty much a lot of other people. Now, granted, new game, it's exciting. Rock Band's been gone for a while, and maybe it's a good time for it to make a little bit of a comeback or make the music game genre have a little bit of a resurgence in some fashion. But I think now, with a lot of people being very diligent about how they buy their games and such, you have to know, unless you've kept your Rock Band instruments, which I'm pretty sure more than a good chunk of people out there listening to this have gotten rid of theirs at some point, myself included. Such, having to buy a whole ensemble again, or even just buying one of those instruments is pretty pricey.
What do you think, Austin?
Well, I hope first and foremost they don't oversaturate their market by releasing 5 or 6 Rock Band releases.
Oh God, please don't.
No. Hey, you know what? No. Hold on a second. I actually have something to say about that. When they made that announcement, I did hear that they did mention what they're going to be doing now. They only want to make one Rock Band every 2 years. So basically, they're going to be releasing more content. Well past the release date. They're not going to release one every year because they don't want to do that, which I think is a good decision. There's a lot of games, I can tell you right now, because it keeps coming out every single year, it doesn't really give the developers time to actually have something new. Example, WWE 2K. Those games that come out every single year, it's the same game, but
they got the Madden effect right about now.
They don't really have enough time to put in everything because they're thinking about, we got to release a game every year. We got to make that money every year. So, and I'm glad they're not doing that with Rock Band. But again, I have no idea what this game is going to be, how it's going to be different. Yet there's a lot of news, I guess, that's coming out on that. But no, continue, Austin, with what you were saying.
Oh, I picked up Rock Band 2 back in the day. I really loved it. I had 4 brothers, which was a very convenient number. So we outfitted that band perfectly. Nobody was left out. And, it was, it's really weird going on into, not weird like is in a bad way. I actually, personally, for selfish reasons, enjoy it. But over the last couple of years, games have, despite the inclusion of so many more social features, they've tipped the spectrum back into, I think, becoming increasingly less social. And Rock Band was kind of a way to produce that, it's dubbed the Nintendo experience of having people actually in the same room playing. Rock Band was able to do that. And when we lost that, it seemed like things were kind of becoming less social overall. And to get that back, even though I still have all my equipment, by the way, to get that back, held on to my guitar. But and I think they do work, right? The old peripherals are supposed to work, I think, right?
I'm assuming they will to some degree. I'm not 100% sure about that because I don't think they've been clear yet that everything will work. I think they said for the most part the stuff will work, but again, I'm not sure yet to what extent everything is going to be compatible. I only know of the music, but not all the music because some songs, the imported songs, they won't necessarily work because of copyrights and whatever legal stuff. I know, for example, they said the Beatles game, you will not be able to get any of those songs because of the Beatles and the protected licenses they have on that music. But I'm not sure if that may change between now and the release of the game. So,
well, I was just gonna say, and hopefully they can cut back on the themed releases. Not every band needs its own.
agree with that.
They really don't. It's.
But that's like you said before. That's a situation where the people who are in charge over there, the ones who are investing in all this stuff, they said, well, they released the first Rock Band. They saw it was so successful. They said, oh, we got to milk this as far as we can. So let's do one for Green Day. Let's do one for the Beatles. That's exactly what they did because they wanted to take advantage of the opportunity that they had. So hopefully that doesn't happen. They need to keep it very simple. They've already made a name for themselves, so yeah, I really don't think they need to have all those releases. If they stick to the plan they said, where they don't want to release a new Rock Band game every year, that's good. Now I want to see if they stick to that. Just focus on the content. But we'll see. Now here's another question though. Guitar Hero. Now, do you think that this Guitar Hero game is going to get announced next now? Because that was another rumor that I heard, but again, not confirmed yet.
Honest to God, no. I don't think it will. I think it will maybe if this does well.
Okay.
Because then Activision's going to be like, But I really don't see it getting announced.
I think though, if somebody's got the money to burn on a project that might not really be successful, Activision's got it. The last big rights battle to kind of like make a product out of was Jimi Hendrix's brand, and I know Guitar Hero was after Jimi Hendrix like nobody's business. I could see Guitar Hero still releasing maybe one or two themed. We don't need Guitar Hero Metallica, but I could still see a couple themed Guitar Hero releases. But I don't know. Guitar Hero's, I honestly think that's a franchise that began to teeter off once they tried to emulate Rock Band's approach. Rock Band is very much kind of like that four-player setup. When Guitar Hero put the bass and the drums in the set and sold you this huge box, I think that's when things started to go in Rock Band's favor. They should stick with the guitars. And if they can alter their model to where it's a little bit more of a specialization, that might be better for them in the long run, definitely from the business perspective.
That's true. Yeah, very true. Well, we'll see what happens. It's all about competition now. So we got that out the news. Thank you for bringing that up about Rock Band because I must tell you, I know we mentioned it briefly last week, but yeah, good to get you guys' opinions on this game and what could happen with it next. Now, there was another game though that was confirmed release date. This happened in between GDC and PAX. We're going to get into some PAX stuff after this, but a few things that were announced. That we now know that Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain will be coming out worldwide on September 1st. Now, here's my question. Now, we know how big this franchise is. I believe we can all agree that this is a perfect time for this game to come out because I have no idea what else is coming out yet to compete with this. But do you guys think that this is a game that will live up to all expectations, or live up to the hype? And of course, the other question, because Kojima, again, in another one that trolls, he said this is the last Metal Gear Solid game. Now, do you believe that this
This is not the last Metal Gear Solid game. I'm telling you right now. That's beyond preposterous. I mean, this might be the last one in like this big overarching tale for Big Boss. I could definitely see that happening. But you definitely expect a Metal Gear Solid 6, like what, like 5 years from now, maybe, give or take.
I've never played a Metal Gear Solid up to this point. I never even played a Metal Gear.
You should go play Metal Gear Solid 2, one of the best games of all time.
I want to pick up the collection. I gotta get a
Metal Gear Solid 1. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I need to get a new PS3 because I know they have the collection for like $40 and it's got all of them. I do know. I mean, I have a general understanding of it though. This was kind of like the last key, the last piece. You've got Solid Snake story, and then
No, that was 4. That was part 4, technically.
Well, you've got his wrap up, but you also had I think 1 and 2, and then you had Big Boss, and this is kind of like this is the Revenge of the Sith of the story, pretty much how Boss became the villain, if I recall correctly. I mean, I could totally see them taking a break. That'll depend on how PT does. I know that's Kojima's next big endeavor.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not sure when that particular game is coming out.
That'll probably be a 2016 thing, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not going to want to release something.
I could definitely see that coming out 2016. But overall, though, I mean, hey, listen. Everybody knows Metal Gear Solid 5 is Metal Gear. Period. That series is a very popular series. People who know Kojima very well, they know that this is going to be awesome. And I would already say it is a Game of the Year contender, but for those who listen to the podcast, they already know that I have another game that's also in my list of Game of the Year contender already, and that's The Witcher 3. But this is going to be another one that will definitely be in that discussion when all is said and done. So I have no doubt it'll live up to the hype.
I think my perception, and this is someone who's an outsider looking in, with all due respect to Witcher 3,
Uh-oh.
3 will blow people away. And as much as I love Uncharted, and we're getting a 4th one hopefully this year. I love Halo, and we're getting a 5th one this year. That said, I don't think, maybe for the exception of Final Fantasy before it tarnished its own brand with too many spin-off and sequels, there is no other event game like a Metal Gear Solid. Like I remember my entire life, they weren't releases, they were events.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this will be a big deal. I think he's definitely put as much effort and work into it as he possibly could.
People will take off for work for this game, basically.
Oh yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, as expected, right? That's and you can also say another event game is pretty much anytime Rockstar drops a new Grand Theft Auto.
Yep. They're on the same degree. That and like a Bethesda RPG.
Well, here's the thing. Grand Theft Auto specifically is responsible for like ruining the releases of certain movies. Because I remember when Grand Theft Auto 4, I think, came out, there was another movie that released that same week or whatnot, around that same time frame. And because the movie did so poorly, because everybody was playing Grand Theft Auto that week, and they openly came out in public and blamed it on the game. It was hilarious.
Or Halo also is blamed for that.
You know, I will say this. This game, what you said about Metal Gear being an event, and that it definitely, is going to, all eyes are going to be on this. This makes me think about what were, Avalanche thinking, because Mad Max is coming out on the exact same day as this game. So that release date, I would hope that release date changes.
That gets changed real quick.
Yes, it must.
Put this into perspective. Let me put this into perspective. I don't know, like, first off, you got Warner Brothers versus Konami, and Mad Max is coming out sometime this year.
Yeah, September 1st, the same day as Metal Gear Solid.
Well, what time is the movie?
Oh, you're talking about the movie? Well, that's a good question.
Because they're going to want to time that up with the film release.
Well, obviously, but I don't think they want to release on the same day as like one of the most anticipated games of the year. That's suicide.
Yeah, I think it's a culmination of I do
I
not.
mean, even marketing-wise, there's got to be somebody over there on the marketing team from Mad Max got to be like, yo, listen, something big is going to be releasing that day, so what are we going to do?
I mean, if the film's coming out around then, I don't see them releasing separately. Maybe moving up, but I still don't see them moving that window. Because even though it's not an adaptation of the movie, it's tied so close with it. And I mean, like, keep in mind though, Avalanche, they're also releasing Just Cause 3, and I think Just Cause 3 is the one they're probably banking a little bit more on.
Yeah. You know, no doubt about that. You're correct. That is the game that everybody's gonna be looking forward to.
And both of them got Game Informer covers. Huh.
But let's hope that that game also comes out at a good time, because the thing about when Metal Gear comes out, literally that is the perfect time. It's after summertime, you know. But even still, it's before the holiday rush, because October and November is probably going to be crowded like it is every year. So they literally have the perfect time, and that's enough time for somebody to pick up Metal Gear Solid 5, and they can play it for that whole month until everything else comes out in October. But yeah, you're right. They should be putting all their focus on Just Cause 3. So maybe Mad Max doesn't matter that much, but still, I would not recommend that they drop that game the same day as Metal Gear Solid. That wouldn't be a wise decision. But that's my opinion. So a few other tidbits to mention. You know, for those that haven't visited the website, you know, well, we put together an article on Mortal Kombat 10 fighters we want to see in Mortal Kombat 10, and then news dropped a few days ago that confirmed in a leak from a producer over at NetherRealm that Johnny Cage will be in the game, as will Kenshi. This news came after the story trailer that came out a couple of days before that pretty much revealed a lot of other characters, although some were not confirmed as playable characters, such as Sindel. You saw her in the video, but we did not get a confirmation yet.
Also, Jax is kind of mentioned at one point because his daughter, Briggs, is also in the game.
That's true. So, you know, as I said, we did an article on this, so I did want to ask, though. I think you already said which fighters that you want to see in the game. Jake, we both said that. Austin, do you have any fighters? Are you looking forward to this game, or will you pass on this game?
I mean, Mortal Kombat, I think, to a lesser extent, I think each Mortal Kombat is an event unto itself. I love Mortal Kombat. That said, though, I'm fairly content with the roster right now. I think people have an unnatural love for Johnny Cage, personally. I'm going to be honest.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. You said so you're content with the roster now with the Johnny Cage announcement too, because some people who I have been talking to, they feel like, well, wait a second, that's a wasted roster spot. If you got his daughter in the game, and then you got Johnny in the game too.
You best believe that there was so much hubbub about a lack of Johnny Cage that I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Cage was inserted later on into development just because of the feedback.
Oh yeah. The producer said that, you know, the brutalities that they have in the game, he said Johnny Cage's brutality is easily the most devastating, best one that is in the game. So I want to see what that is now that he said that too. But hey, you know, I'm gonna tell you right now though, you know, when you have all these other characters, there are some that won't make the cut. So now I'm curious who is not gonna make the cut, because you know with the DLC, it's already been rumored it's going to have some iconic characters, of course some classic characters, but there's some iconic, I guess, movie type of characters. I guess, you know, that's where the Predator will come in, if that is actually legit. I have concerns about who will get cut. I don't know who's going to get cut, but well, I guess we'll see soon. Cause, I mean,
we already know that Jade is cut. Jade got cut because they came out and said that Jade's not going to be in the game.
Oh yeah, and then they put some of her move sets in
for Katana.
Katana, yeah, and you know Melina's in the game. That's confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, yeah, you are right about that. Yeah, she did get cut.
I'm just pleased that my bro Reptile looks a lot better than he did.
I will tell you one thing though, even though they haven't released it yet or haven't said anything yet, I'm pretty sure Liu Kang is in the game
Well,
because
this guy is This guy's been a staple in the series. I remember. I'm trying to remember what if it was Deception the game where he got killed. One of those games he got
Deadly Alliance. Deadly Alliance was the one he got killed. Deception was the one that he came back as a zombie.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. Was Shang Tsung the one that killed him?
Yes.
Okay.
It was Shang Tsung and Quan Chi.
Okay, so yeah, he may return because the Quan Chi is in this game. I'm assuming that Shang Tsung will eventually get revealed too because they worked.
He died in Mortal Kombat 9, I know that. So I wouldn't be surprised though if he comes back somehow.
Yeah, because Shinnok is in it. Hey, well, we're gonna find out soon anyway because the game will be out in next month, so you're actually gonna be reviewing that. So I look forward to that. I look forward to hearing about it, and I can't wait to play it myself.
Can't wait, man.
So that'll be awesome. But yeah, some interesting stuff to consider. From going from one fighting game to another one now, of course, this news came out the other day that Street Fighter V is now scheduled for a spring 2016 release.
But Rich, I got an update for you about that. That clarifies this.
What's the update?
So apparently, IGN actually had a couple calls over there to Capcom, finding out if this was true, to kind of confirm if it was actually coming out in spring next year. And it came out that it's not the case. They didn't have any official release date, and that the spring 2016 release for the shirts that were on Capcom Unity was a tentative release date for the T-shirts that they're selling through Capcom Unity that are for Street Fighter V. It's an actual T-shirt that has Ryu and then the Street Fighter V logo on the back.
So that's only for the T-shirt. Okay.
So it's only for the T-shirt. Like, some people were believing apparently that maybe that might be the time frame where the game is going to drop, because it makes sense. But the Capcom representatives came out and said, no, that's just a tentative release date for that.
Okay, so see, that's what I was wondering, because I was saying, well, man, that's pretty fast if it's coming out that quick. I knew it wasn't coming out this year, because
I would expect it if next year, the end of next year. But even then, that's stretching it.
But no, okay, so next year, but that's interesting. But okay, so, well, now that we know it's possibly not going to come out, well, it may come out next year. What are you looking forward to in the sequel? I know that what I have noticed is that they did do the little character reveal because they had the Charlie Nash video, and I'm assuming they're going to probably do that stuff. That is very similar to how they've been doing the Mortal Kombat stuff, where they will reveal a character, at these little events every now and again. But what are you guys looking forward to in the sequel?
Honest to God, I already know that the next character that's going to get revealed is Bison. It's pretty obvious. I'm hoping that in this game specifically, that I feel like I get that sense of how I felt when I played Super Street Fighter 4, not Arcade Edition, but the version prior to that, where things I feel like a little bit much more solid, as opposed to how it was in later iterations, and definitely much better than how it was in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, as far as solid balance, and where I feel like things are a little bit much more fair, and characters. I feel like I don't have to just choose a select group of characters just to do well with them online. I want the whole roster to be able to be diversified and be able to be solid characters in their own right. And I also, on this one, because from what I'm gathering between some of the stuff that I'm seeing in the latest couple trailers, and from the talk that people are saying, that we're going to get a lot more Street Fighter Third Strike kind of influence here, because apparently this game supposedly takes place after Third Strike, or around that time frame, and especially with the way that the designs are for the characters for Ryu and Chun-Li. So I would hope to see characters like Q. I would love to see characters like Gil, if not Urien, or any other of the Third Strike character roster.
Yeah, so, hey, that sounds good to me. What do you think, Austin? Is there anything you're looking forward to in this game, or?
Yeah, I've never been much of a huge Street Fighter fan. I'll probably give 5 a shot. I've got no predetermined expectations, though.
Well, hey, I totally understand that, and you know, I have been playing Street Fighter for a while, but I kind of left the series when it veered off into other directions. Well, you know, I kind of left the series for a while. I am intrigued to check it out again. Uh, Obviously, we'll check it out again, but we'll see. Just going to see how it comes along. I mean, the game looks great. The characters look great. The artwork looks, you know, cool. So we'll see. But that's the gist of that. Now we got two other quick topics to go over. Of course, this is the big one because I know that you are a huge fan, Jake. So PAX East today we saw well, there were a couple of things that got revealed.
Yeah.
But one of the big things that got revealed was the Final Fantasy 15 gameplay and some details. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about this because I haven't seen the video yet. I would hope to watch the stream after this, but
Oh man, you got a lot to look forward to then, because I mean, it was during the character design choice panel at PAX East for Square Enix, and basically they were showing off, some of the different kind of like party characters that you're gonna be with Noctis in the in Final Fantasy 15 when they're actually exploring the world and such. So on top of that, they also revealed that chocobos are now in the game. They're actually, got revealed for the first time. There's this chocobo outpost, which is pretty cool that you'll be able to rest there, have your party rest there, for the evening and actually get different bonuses and such for doing different things as opposed to like camping out in the middle of the world, in the different woods and such. You also have trailer parks or mobile homes that you're actually able to kind of rest at, and again you get experience bonuses for doing so. So it's pretty neat to see like how the kind of like multifaceted direction that you'll be able to kind of level up your characters as well as approach different aspects of the story and like explore the world and such. They showed more of the battle system, which looks very, very cool. A lot of your buddies, your party members come into play where they'll help you out. Well, they'll help set up, different spells for you to do more damage to enemies and such. They'll also spot different things, whether it's other enemies off in the distance as well as secrets and other items they could pick up, which is very, very, very cool. They also got a chance to show off, some of the little bit of like, some other little areas here and there, as well as, different aspects about like exploring the world and such, which is very, very cool.
that's cool. I mean, I recall the video I saw a while back. And they had a lot of stuff going on the screen, and I mean the game looked great. I mean, I must admit that I'm not really someone that is into the Final Fantasy series. I know that may be blasphemy for some people that may listen to this. They'd be like, well, wait a second. I mean, I am going to try Type 0 HD, since that's coming out in about 2 weeks. Maybe not the best way to be introduced to this.
And you're going to get hopefully the episode Du Sky actual demo, because that's where most of this footage was from the demo that everybody's going to get for Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, I got, I definitely want to try it out and see how it is. Do you have any thoughts on it, Austin?
It's I don't think there's a person alive who isn't familiar with the Chronicles of Versus 13 turn 15.
It's a long process, I would put it that way. A long story.
I mean, I was sold years ago. The 2011 TGS footage is obviously a very different game at this point. I really wasn't, kind of attracted to the notion of a much more action-paced Final Fantasy. Nomura's Final Fantasy was definitely probably more Kingdom Hearts than it ever was any Final Fantasy. I love the whole concept of they were taking these action sequences, and I think it was the E3 2015 trailer. Excuse me, the E3 2013 trailer that showed all these action set pieces as opposed to cutscenes. And I remember in an interview they were talking about taking a more Uncharted approach and trying to make things as playable as possible, which is a huge selling point for me. But then Nomura leaving the project, the game's apparently changed since then. So we'll see. I don't. It looks. The only one I played beforehand was 13. Followed 15's progress for a while. It looks good. I hope it's going to be good.
Well, yeah, you said Nomura left it, so he's working on Kingdom Hearts 3 now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
we'll get
Yep.
that in 2016 or 17.
It's going to be a while. We're going to get comfortable. We're going to have to get real comfortable because at least we're getting the demo very soon, though.
So here's a question, though. Because that footage dropped today, we know that demo is coming out. You know, in about 2 weeks it'll be. I don't know if it's coming out. It's going to be available right as soon as Type 0 launches. But now, do you think Final Fantasy is still going to come out this year, or is that more so going to get pushed to 2016 now?
You know something? I think it might get pushed to 2016. And the good thing about that is that in the demo episode to Sky, it's according to people that actually played it, that are at PAX now, that actually got hands-on time with it for the first time. They say that it's so deep and it's so massive in just that demo alone that we're really in for a very big package when that game finally drops. So I think that a lot of people are saying that it's really worth the wait. And I really don't think that it's coming out this year. If it's that massive and it's that much content and that much more good stuff that's going to be put into this game. Because honest to God, I really think that this is going to be the game that really puts Final Fantasy back on the map, like I've always said, and that this is the one that's really going to get a lot of people's attention because all the impressions coming out from the hands-on time are saying, like, even if you're not really a big fan of Final Fantasy, just all the stuff that they're doing within this game, from the battle system to the way that they set up like an ecosystem or an environment that feels like it's alive, that, you know, the battles and the enemies are living, like, you know, roaming around on the map in their own way. They're not just, you know, put in like a predetermined like path, or they're not, like, you know, just appearing on the map aimlessly and such. Like, this is like a legit, like, you know, deep and like vast and like, you know, lush environment that you're going to be exploring, and that's just one portion of the game. So you can only imagine how massive it's going to be on the final release.
Yeah, I definitely. The thing that blew me away, has always blown me away, is and it's a testament to how much I'm just kind of swayed by the what was the engine, the Project Agni. Or no,
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. The Igneous is something Destiny or something like that. It was the one that showed off like that weird magic and, like, you know, fire thing with the mage.
oh no.
Man, I can't remember the name of it right now. It's gonna bother me all night. But I know which engine you're talking. The Luminous engine. I'm sorry. The Luminous.
Yeah, I mean, you go back E3 2012 and this huge talk of the Luminous engine and effectively what it's going to do and how it's going to push next gen, and then 2013 comes out, you hear, oh, they're not doing anything in the Luminous engine, and apparently they've ported a lot of the game back into the Luminous engine now. So
They're using the Unreal engine, I heard, though.
They're using Unreal Engine 4 for Kingdom Hearts.
Okay,
they were going to use Unreal for this one, but they've gone back to Luminous, and I think it's just obvious. I think it is, in my opinion, and with respect to the Order. With respect to the Order, and I love me some black bars in film grade. With respect to the Order and with respect to Uncharted 4, there's something about Final Fantasy 15, if they can get it up to, like, I've heard they've got problems getting it to 1080. If the full game can reach 1080, I think it's probably the best looking game I've ever seen.
Wow.
They've got to do some serious texture work, but there's some moments where I was just blown away. And a lot of it's like just, I think they have been able to create something that visually matches Advent Children, and I never thought they would.
Well, you said, hey, they got to get to 1080p, though. That's what you said, right? If they get to 1080p, which I'm pretty sure they will.
Oh, they're going to 1080p, believe me.
1080p is going to be 60 frames per second, because we know people care about that stuff, too, for some reason.
Oh, I mean,
it's gorgeous.
You're not going to have a game that big and it'd be 60 frames per second. It should be 1080p, though.
This game's getting at 1080p. I'm telling you right now, that game's going to be gorgeous on PlayStation 4.
Wait a second. So Xbox One as well, right? It's going to reach 1080p.
No. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something.
Be on Xbox One.
A game this good, granted I have an Xbox One, but I will be the first one to tell you I am not getting that game on Xbox One. It's strictly PlayStation 4. Much like when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out years from now. Okay, that game is strictly PlayStation 4 for me.
So one other question that I'm going to ask though before I move on to the final topic, since you said that, is it also safe to assume that you would want to get the PlayStation 4 for Metal Gear Solid? Because that, I thought Sony is always that's pretty much.
I think a lot of people will.
I know I'm going to because I assume I'm going to, yeah, because I know that when the last one came out, it was a Ground Zeroes. It didn't quite hit. Well, obviously it wasn't 1080p on.
It was like 9 something, right?
Yeah, but I think PlayStation, for some reason, some games I know I want on PlayStation.
I know a lot of those big games, a lot of people that are AAA, well resonated, well known games, they're all going to get them on PlayStation 4, with the exception of like the big obvious Microsoft exclusives like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Metal Gear. A lot of those games that people are going to get on PlayStation 4. And I have a strong feeling even Mortal Kombat, I might have a strong feeling a lot of people might get it more on PlayStation 4 than Xbox One.
Oh yeah, I believe that too, and that's that.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the fighting game crowd are gonna move on over to PlayStation 4 because of Street Fighter 5. That's really what it is.
That is exactly why that move was a very impactful move for them to make. Yeah, you're right about that. There's no arguing that.
You go back last generation, and you got this question of game series identity and what is an Xbox game versus what is a PlayStation game. It's just, I remember people being fed up about Final Fantasy, and I think you got some fanboy bias in there, but I think at the end of the day, you step back and you look at what happened last generation. You had the PlayStation 3 using unfamiliar technology, arguably better tech from the CPU side, and then you've got the Xenon's GPU and the Xbox 360. So you had your multiplats were always going to look better on 360 because you had devs more familiar with the PC architecture. This time, the PlayStation 4, it's not just the most common system out there, it's also the most powerful. And people, I'm sure Charles's people, I'm sure good friends of Charles, other Zinc, might not care to hear that rhetoric. But it's true. You are going to have a power difference. So if someone goes for a Final Fantasy 15 on their PS4, Metal Gear Solid 4 on their Metal Gear Solid 5 on their PS4, it's not because if they feel there's it's always been a PlayStation game. There is that mindset out there, but a lot of it is if you want the best port of the game, you're going to get it on the PlayStation. And I know that sounds, that is an answer people don't want to hear. Might be tough for some to swallow, and if that's the case, you should maybe pull back on this console war thing a little bit too much. But, go ahead.
Oh no, you continue. I'm gonna say something when you finish.
I was just gonna say, for the most part, when it comes to multiplats, Resident Evil Revelations Chapter 2 showed us that the PlayStation 4 is not infallible. Xbox One port of, I think, Revelations Chapter 2 was a better port.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know this information.
According to Digital Foundry, it was a better port. And if that's the case and you're chasing the numbers, then get the game on the better system for it. But all these games, I just think the PlayStation's the better system for Final Fantasy. The franchise's history on the console has nothing to do with it for me personally.
It's just the way that it's going to look and the way that it's going to play. Really more the way it's going to look.
But I think that goes without saying. But since you brought up PlayStation 4, that goes into our final topic for this evening, which is the PlayStation 4 sales have now surpassed 20.2 million worldwide.
That's a lot of trophies.
That is a lot of trophies. You know, the statement made by Andrew House, president and CEO of Sony Computer and Entertainment of America. But here's the thing, okay? Let me go ahead and say this first and foremost. There are some people out there that I know of that hit me up on Twitter all the time saying, you never acknowledge PlayStation 4. You never acknowledge, even though every single game that I have gotten, almost every game that I have gotten that is a third-party game, I've gotten on PlayStation 4. For the same reason that you just said, Austin, because they make the better ports. I know a game is going to be 1080p, and I happen to have the HD TV. Well, obviously, I want to play the game as the best way it looks, so it will be reflective on my TV. But let me go ahead and say this now. I give Sony their props. They deserve a round of applause. I mean, I have absolutely no complaints. And, of course, that sales reflection number, there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, when
Mostly I think it's because of games and also because of PlayStation Plus, honest to God.
Well, here's the thing. The PlayStation Plus definitely offers a value that is untouched. Now, I will say this. Games with Gold, they are making some improvements, but they are following Sony's lead on this because Sony has always had better value with the PlayStation Plus.
Hell yeah.
And and you know this, when Microsoft decides to now do the exact same thing when they offer a free Xbox One game, but again, you have to keep the subscription to keep that game. So clearly they are following Sony's lead when it comes to that particular stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to give Sony their credit because they released before Microsoft. They released at a cheaper price point, and for the most part, they have pretty much stayed on task with everything that they have said. Now, while I will say that, I'm also going to say this. I do not believe that every game or every exclusive that Sony makes is a good game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that game that they showed, Until Dawn, is going to be one of the best games on the system. I will not say that. The Order 1886 was a great game. And for those that were maybe shocked for me to say that, the game had its problems. I'm not going to tell you it was the most amazing game because, no, it wasn't that. But we can't say that every single game that comes out is a winner. And I treat Microsoft the same way. I'm not going to tell you Fable Legends, this is a free-to-play game that will appeal to some people. Me personally, I would have preferred if they just straight up made Fable 4 instead of Fable Legends, because I don't really like
that franchise is in total disarray, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean that's a perfect example of a franchise in total disarray. But I mean, I'm just saying, both consoles have great games, great exclusives, but when it comes to the third party so far, and this is like I said, you surprised me when you said, Austin, about the Resident Evil Revelations, the better port being on Xbox One, because I would have assumed a lot of these games are better on PlayStation 4. I know Witcher 3 is going to be 1080p on PlayStation 4 and 900 on Xbox One. Now, that may not mean anything to anybody else if they ain't really looking at the pixels that much, but it's going to mean a lot to some people. And then for those that are PC gamers, they won't really care anyway because they're going to have the best period. But
I mean, it's good. It's a good thing we're not talking about those guys anyway, though, Rich.
Okay, yeah, he's right. So, here's the question for you guys. The final question for this, like I said, we have established the PlayStation 4 sales are surpassed. We give them props now. So this momentum will continue. Obviously, I would assume so. But do you guys believe that do you guys believe that Microsoft is going to be able to compete with them more now because of the stuff that they've done with the pricing? And now, catching up, obviously, something that is going to be very, very difficult for them to do. But again, I'm not going to say it's impossible because they build up a little bit of momentum now. I could see some momentum coming, provided that they change some things, they tweak some things, and then they hit the release dates that they're trying to hit. But what do you guys think about this particular news on the PlayStation 4 and how you think the Xbox will fare moving forward?
You know, I think for the most part, I want to say this. You just said something that made me think about it. I think people need to go through and temper expectations is not the right way to put it, but it's really to adjust your expectations. I can't say Until Dawn won't be a great game, but it is what it is, and it's a interactive drama,
Yeah.
and it can do what it does well and still be great in that regard. Unfortunately, there are just certain commentators, and you know who you are. I saw the term "playable movie" dropped in reference to the order, and I'm sorry, that's the most stupid thing I've heard in a long time. And that doesn't make something worse off or better. David Cage makes interactive dramas. That's what he calls them. Some are really good. Some have missed the mark. But if that's what you're looking for and that's what you want, that's great. I'm personally drawn maybe to Sony's more exclusive lineup because it's more diverse. I got a little tired of Xbox's, kind of exclusives being a little too similar. That said, I think if you step back and if you look at, because exclusives are always brought up here, for some reason, I think if you step back and you look at which console objectively has the better exclusives, I think Xbox has done probably a better job with it. I've heard I love Forza Horizon 2. Drive Club's supposed to be great, but Horizon 2 is fantastic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
People trip it. I don't doubt Ori and the Blind Forest is going to be great for what it is. And I just think people, going forward, it's not about one having the best games. It's the best games for you. And I think, hell, if you want to be completely honest, Nintendo's objectively got the best lineup regardless.
Yeah.
The others are going to get there.
They have the best lineup when a game actually comes out in a reasonable time frame. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. But yes, that's where they are. They take a lot of time to develop their games, but when they do take their time to develop their game, you know it's going to be solid. It's not going to have no broken issues.
Quality.
Like Ubisoft.
Solid quality when a game from Nintendo comes out. That's one thing you got to give them credit for last year, because last year was the Wii U's year. They had the most games that came out that actually worked, and that were actually games that people wanted, like really badly.
They got some games coming out this year people want to. I don't know if Zelda's coming out this year.
No, I don't think Zelda's coming out this year. I don't even think Star Fox is coming out this year. Honest to God, and that.
It's coming out this year. I believe that both of those are going to make it.
But Splatoon is a game that is going to interest a lot of people. I looked at that game and I thought, yeah, that looks pretty interesting. I know the Toad game that came out last year was another game that interested.
Was good. Was actually good. It plays like Fez.
See, yeah, that's good stuff. So I must admit though, even though Nintendo does have some great games, I still haven't seen anything that will convince me to buy a Wii U. Now, I will get a 3DS, but I don't know about a Wii U yet. So we'll see if that changes as the year goes on.
I could say that at least the one reason to own a Wii U now is probably Smash Brothers. But
Yeah.
Obviously what it's really going to change is that eventually when Zelda Wii U does come out, because the talk behind that game and a lot of stuff from what we've seen thus far is really looking like that reason, like that solid soft piece of software that justifies owning that system.
And see that what you just said right there, that goes back to what I said at the beginning of this show when I said a game like Scream Ride is an okay game, but I would not tell somebody to buy an Xbox One for it, because there are other games that that when you just know when you see a game and oh yeah, I gotta get that. I want that. That is a good reason to own it. I believe.
And something. You just reminded me of something now. If you look at Xbox One right now, granted they're getting a little more aggressive now with the pricing of Xbox Live, as well as all the other changes they're doing and stuff right now. I don't even think I could really think of, granted I haven't had the Xbox One as long as other people have, of one solid piece of software to really justify owning an Xbox One. Because let's be real for a second, and I saw a video about this earlier today. Master Chief Collection is still kind of broken, even though there was a patch that came out not too long ago, but then there was an Xbox One update that came out that still broke the game. And that's like, it's still like messed up with the matchmaking and stuff. It's really silly.
Well, wait a second though, Austin. I know there was an update that just came out, and you said it was working fine for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had no problem with it. I've been jumping in matches, maybe waiting just 10, 15 seconds.
Well, here's the thing, like, because I was looking at it this morning. So the person that I posted the video was JVB, from Poster Game Report, and he got the patch, and he was like, ecstatic to jump in and stuff. But then he also got an Xbox One update, I guess firmware update or whatever, and he went to go play Halo Master Chief Collection online, could not find a match at all, period. And like he was like really pissed about it. He's like, something, right about now, if I could really have to tell anybody about getting an Xbox One, I would tell them not to get an Xbox One. I would tell them to go get a PlayStation 4.
I do have a response to that. But
I think I was going to say real quick though. I think that's a criticism you can make to both. I just think.
I think maybe it's a little harder though for PlayStation 4 at this point. I mean, forgetting about games that are coming down the pipeline, there are still plenty of games that are still, diverse and offer good experiences for someone that owns a PlayStation 4. Granted, however you feel about them, like Infamous Second Son or whatever, or even The Order and such like that. But if you look at, both Xbox One and PlayStation 4, you really look at the Xbox One. What is really the one piece of software to justify owning that console?
I can answer that question.
I think it comes down to third party, regardless for both of them. I think Second Son was enjoyable. I liked it more than First Light, but I think it was a refining of what came before and not an extreme measure like it looks like when Uncharted 4 is to 3. I liked The Order, but I was very disappointed by it. I just think, I think they're both in very similar positions. I think, honestly, if you want third-party games and you want the best ones, get a PlayStation. That would be the reason to get it. But exclusives alone, I just don't think either brought it to the table yet.
All right, well, I do want to make a statement. I do believe that the third parties definitely, I mean, if you want to talk about any solid games, you look at the games that won all these awards for the last year, and last fall was really the time when you saw a lot of games coming out. Well, no, not really that many. This is going to be the year.
The ones that are really making the splashes, because Shovel Knight was one of the best games last year.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I do believe that this is the year where you'll get a definitive answer, because certain stuff is coming. We know Halo 5 is coming. We know that Uncharted is coming. Even though they said, maybe no, it's coming. The Tomb Raider game will be coming. A lot of these games are coming out. Some third party, some exclusive. You'll get a better idea. But what I will say though is that while I do agree that third party is what's running things now, I mean,
and it's PlayStation 4 that's leading that charge technically now. Now they got like third-party exclusive games, period. Now, I mean, coming down the pipeline.
And they got content and all this other stuff. So yeah, but I will say this: what you were saying earlier about the one game to own an Xbox One. No, I do believe there is one game that is worth owning that system for, and it's the same game that I've talked about in the past, and that is Forza Horizon 2. That game is a solid game. I don't really see too many issues with it. Now, again, if you don't like racing games, well, no. You'd probably be like, well, no, I don't want to.
That's not like the tentpole game, though, for like what defines the Microsoft brand, though, I don't think. Like, I was expecting Master Chief Collection to be that game, honestly.
It's like the one of 4 IPs. They've got Forza, Halo, Gears, and Fable, and hopefully they branch out. That's definitely one of the 4.
Exactly. That is one of the 4. And one other thing to recall too, that because of the way that these systems came out, the developers needed time to actually create some stuff. This is a reason why I would tell you a game like the Order 1886, when you talk about length, when a lot of the issues with the game, you talk about the length, you talk about the lack of enemy variation, you talk about some stuff with the story. It doesn't feel like it's really complete. Like some of the stuff is rushed. because they know they have to get this game done. Because I mean, you got to recall this was a game that was supposed to come out last year, but it didn't come out. It came out this year instead. But I still think it could have used more time to flesh out and fix some of the other issues. But they're thinking about the deadline. If they have a certain deadline they have to meet, they got to get it done. And these developers are still trying to learn all of the limitations with the software as far as they can take the technology. So I think that it had to be expected. Maybe that the first 2-3 years may not be quite as good, but I'm telling you, this is the year where you're going to see reasons to own each system. In terms,
Rich, do you know what that reason is?
What's that?
Quantum Break.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen. I like to hope
Hopefully.
so, but I heavily doubt that game is coming out this year because when Microsoft released the information, they had a little video about the games in 2015. That game wasn't nowhere to be seen. I saw Tomb Raider, I saw Halo, and I saw Forza. They announced Forza Motorsport 6. I didn't.
The one I don't think will be out will be Scalebound. I think Quantum Break's got a good shot.
Well, hey,
what the hell happened to Scalebound? I haven't. That game just like vanished almost.
Oh, don't worry. You'll get an update. You'll get an update in a few months.
And at E3, like really?
2016. They'll tell you 2016, and then a Crackdown, another game that's being worked on that you will not see this year, but I would think by next year, yeah.
And the
Gears too, but I don't know because the Gears, it seems like that's going to take a while. They just now getting started on that, so I don't know. But hey, it all stars this year, guys. I would say. I mean, the third parties are still dominated because again, Metal Gear Solid that ain't exclusive to either system. That's on everything. The Witcher 3, that's on everything. Batman Arkham Knight, that's on everything. But I'll be very interested to see what happens with that with this holiday lineup, the holiday lineup, and the other stuff. And then even again, I'm gonna tell you right now, I have not played Demon Souls or Dark Souls, but man, I want to play Bloodborne. They have sold me on that game only because of how it looks. The gameplay looks fun. I mean, it looks interesting, so I am going to try that out. But will I say that is one of my top reasons for owning the PlayStation 4? No, I don't know. I mean, the third parties, again, I'll buy a lot of third-party games on there. I'm probably going to get Mortal Kombat on there, The Witcher as well as Batman too. But I just don't know. We have to see what happens, but I would have to believe this is going to be the year where we're going to start to see a changing of the guard as far as there will be better exclusives. I think all the exclusives have been decent so far. Some not quite as good as others, but the best stuff is still yet to come. But that's my opinion. So, you guys have any final words? I'll let you go first, Jake.
None. I mean, it's gonna this GDC and this PAX has helped raise a lot of questions that we hopefully are going to get answers to going into E3 in a couple months. So, I mean, it's very exciting. This is an awesome time to be a gamer and an awesome time to really kind of be in this hobby. There's so much stuff I'm looking forward to, especially, again, looking forward to Final Fantasy 15, Mortal Kombat in about a month, Shovel Knight, all the different DLC and stuff for it going on. Can't wait, man. And also Metal Gear Solid 5, I can't forget that. So much good stuff to look forward to.
Absolutely. So, how about you, Austin? Any final words?
Get better, Gary. Get better.
Yeah, definitely get better, Gary. And I hope he's doing all right, man. I found out late, so my best wishes go out to you, Gary. Hurry up and get back over here.
Gary, man, we got to go back to E3 and find some hot dogs like we did last time. It was just.
I need to get Gary to have an ice cream soda, like a real ice cream soda. Like, he doesn't understand about how good an ice cream soda could be. I have to show him.
I don't understand either, so I'm gonna have to try this.
Battlefront is my big one. I just hope to see more of that soon.
I forgot. I mean, I completely forgot about that. And don't forget whatever Bethesda is showing at their little
You
show.
know that's going to be Fallout 4. That's like a given.
That is going to be massive.
If it's not Fallout 4, I'll tell you that whole place will riot. I'm telling you right now.
I'm honestly tell you right now. When I heard about that Bethesda announcement, that's when I said, "Oh, I got to get to E3." When they said they having a press conference, that was like, "Oh, this is the first time this happens." Oh yeah, I got to find a way to get to that. So,
Hey, let me ask you a real quick thing before we end it. Do you think that if this ends up being a big deal, with Bethesda's press conference, you think some of the other big third-party publishers are going to do that, like Square Enix, like Capcom, like any one of them? Do you think that maybe they might follow suit down the line?
Hey,
they don't do it here though.
That's a possibility. It depends if it depends if it's a company that can afford to do that, because I don't know what Capcom's financial situation are now until Street Fighter comes out. I don't know if Resident Evil Revelations is going to be doing well. I don't know how well that's selling yet. I do believe a lot of other companies will definitely be, inspired to definitely go that route, though, because that is an opportunity that you definitely want to try to take advantage of. But Bethesda, they've been releasing some pretty solid games as of late. Wolfenstein: The New Order was awesome. That was my shooter last year over any other shooter I played. And I played Destiny. Call of Duty was awesome too. But Wolfenstein, it's like, man, because I didn't expect that game to come out the way it did. I was very surprised with the end result.
And they got another one coming.
Oh yeah, that's the DLC that they revealed at PAX East, Old Blood. I'm definitely going to get that next month. It's coming out in May actually. So definitely going to check that out. But yeah, man, it's a fun time, like you said, a good time to be a gamer. I'm glad that I have both consoles, so I therefore don't have to make a choice. Even though there are some people that say, "Well, you should make a choice." Nah, man. Yeah, I love gaming, so I'm gonna try to play as much as possible. Maybe one day I'll get a Wii U if I see something that I want to actually play. For right now, though, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, that's it for me. I'm good with that. So, but that pretty much concludes our show for this week. Again, I would like to also wish Gary get well. I know you're probably listening to this podcast now. Just focus on getting better. We look forward to having you back on the show. Thank you all for listening. Thank you both for joining this show last minute, because it literally was a last minute project. I think it turned out great. But hope everybody enjoyed this co-op episode 109. Stay tuned for episode 110 next week sometime. But hope everybody has a great week ahead, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Oh, also, safe flight back home for everybody that we know that's at PAX East right now.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Safe flights from PAX East, and yeah, definitely that, because I know they had weather issues, but
see you guys at E3, hopefully.
Yeah, we will see you all at E3. We'll be back here next week with some more news, but stay tuned. Talk to you guys later.
Peace out, everybody. Laters.